The night over the haunted kingdom grew darker than ever before. The bald king stood at the edge of the cursed forest, his sword glowing faintly with the magician's mark. The whispers of the dead echoed through the mist, calling his name in broken tones. He could feel the power of the ancient curse tightening around his heart. His queen's spirit appeared before him, faint and trembling, her eyes filled with sorrow and warning. "Beware, my king," she whispered. "The magician feeds on fear. The more you doubt, the stronger he grows." But the bald king no longer feared. He had lost his crown, his kingdom, and almost his soul. There was nothing left to fear. With a roar that shook the night, he charged into the shadows, breaking through illusions and monsters that guarded the magician's throne. Inside the ruined castle, torches burned with black fire. The magician awaited, cloaked in smoke and power. "You came for her," he sneered. "But she belongs to the darkness now." The bald king raised his sword. "Then I will tear the darkness apart." Their clash lit up the night, lightning striking through shattered windows, echoes of magic and rage shaking the ground. The queen's spirit cried out as their powers collided, light against darkness, love against greed. As dawn neared, the magician fell, but with his last breath, he cursed the bald king once more. "You may win, but you'll never be free." The castle began to crumble. The queen's soul embraced him, fading like morning mist. The bald king stood alone, victorious but broken, his eyes glowing with the curse's mark, the new guardian of the haunted kingdom. The wind howled across the ruins of the cursed kingdom. The bald king, now bound by the magician's dying curse, sat upon a throne of stone and shadow. His eyes no longer shone with human warmth, they flickered with the eerie light of the underworld. Every night, whispers filled his halls, voices of those lost to the curse he now carried. But one voice was different. Soft, familiar, calling his name. The queen. Her spirit had not fully vanished. She lingered between worlds, trapped in a mirror that shimmered faintly under moonlight. "Free me, my king," she pleaded, "before the curse consumes us both." Determined, the bald king sought out the hidden temple deep beneath his castle, the Temple of Echoes. Legends said it held a path between life and death, guarded by the spirits of forgotten kings. As he descended into the darkness, the torches dimmed, and the walls began to whisper his sins back to him. "You caused the fall. You took the forbidden crown. You unleashed the magician." But he pressed on, his sword trembling in his hand. When he reached the heart of the temple, he found the mirror of souls, and within it, his queen's face, smiling faintly through tears. To free her, he had to sacrifice his last piece of humanity. Without hesitation, he pressed his hand to the glass. The mirror shattered, and a surge of cold light burst through the chamber. The queen stepped out, alive once more, but the bald king's reflection remained trapped inside. Now, he ruled from within the mirror, watching over her, unseen but ever present. The curse was broken, but his soul was forever sealed in the realm of reflections. And every night, the mirror glows, and the whisper of the bald king can be heard. "I kept my promise." The queen now ruled the restored kingdom, her heart heavy with the silence of the mirror. The people believed the curse had ended, but she knew the truth. The bald king's spirit still lingered, guarding them from within the glass. Every night, she would visit the mirror chamber, whispering to him, hoping to hear his voice again. But one night, the mirror trembled on its own. Cracks spread like veins. Across the surface, glowing with crimson light. The magician's curse had not died, it had only changed. Through the cracks, shadows began to emerge, whispering the name of the bald king in mocking tones. "You cannot escape what you became," they hissed. "A king of the dead belongs to the dark." Terrified, the queen sought help from the old priest who once served the royal court. He revealed a forbidden truth. The mirror's spirit must never awaken, for if it does, the bald king's soul will turn into something far worse than the magician ever was. But it was already too late. That night, thunder split the sky as the mirror shattered completely. From the shards rose a ghostly figure, the bald king reborn, his armor gleaming with shadow fire, his voice deep and distant. He no longer remembered love or pain, only duty and vengeance. "I protected this realm," he said coldly. "But now, I must protect it from the living." The queen reached out, tears falling. "My king, it's me, your heart." He paused for a moment, eyes flickering between rage and memory. For a brief second, the real bald king surfaced, before the curse dragged him back. The castle shook, windows burst open, the kingdom plunged into darkness once again. And from the highest tower, a new legend began. The rise of the Dark King. The kingdom lay beneath eternal storm clouds. Lightning cracked across the blackened skies as the Dark King, once the Bald King, stood over the ruins of his old castle. The people who once worshipped him now hid in fear, whispering prayers to a man who no longer existed. The queen refused to abandon him. She wandered the shadowed halls, searching for any trace of the man she had loved. But everywhere she looked, she saw only the mark of the curse, frozen soldiers, whispering ghosts, and the faint echo of her husband's broken heart. In the heart of the castle, the Dark King sat upon a throne made of shattered mirrors. Each shard reflected a memory: his coronation, their wedding, the moment the curse began. He stared into them endlessly, trapped in the loop of his own past. One night, the queen found him there. She stepped carefully through the mist, her voice trembling. "My king, do you still remember my name?" For a long time, he said nothing. Then, in a voice that echoed with both pain and power, he whispered, "I remember everything. That's why I can't stop it." The shadows swirled around him, forming the faces of the dead, soldiers, magicians, and kings long gone. They bowed before him, calling him the Eternal One. The curse had given him dominion over the spirits of the fallen, but it came at a cost. His humanity was fading, piece by piece. The queen fell to her knees, tears burning her eyes. "Then let me fade with you. I won't leave you again." The Dark King touched her face, his hand cold, his eyes glowing faintly with sorrow. "Not yet," he said. "There's one last storm left to end." He rose from his throne, drawing his sword, now forged from the mirror's shards, glowing like frozen lightning. Outside, the earth trembled. From the shadows beyond the kingdom, a new evil stirred, something ancient, waiting for him. The skies burned crimson as the final battle began. The Dark King stood at the gates of his ruined kingdom, his army of spirits behind him, loyal, silent, ready to face the ancient evil rising from the abyss. The ground cracked open, and from it emerged the true source of the curse, the Shadow God, the one even the magician had served. Its voice thundered across the land. "You defied fate, mortal king. You broke death's chains. Now, you will join me." The Dark King raised his sword of mirror light. "I was once a man. I was once cursed. But now, I am the end of your darkness." The clash shook the world. Fire and lightning rained down as souls screamed through the storm. The queen watched from the tower, praying through tears, knowing this was the battle that would decide both the living and the dead. The Shadow God's power was endless. Each strike from the Dark King shattered mountains, but each wound he took only grew his pain. As he fell to one knee, the queen ran to him, defying the flames. She placed her hands on his heart, whispering the vow they once made long ago. "In life or in death, we remain one." The Dark King looked into her eyes, and for the first time in ages, the curse cracked. Light poured from his chest, and the mirror shards of his sword began to glow brighter than ever. He grasped the blade one last time, drove it into his own heart, and released all the trapped souls within him. A wave of pure light consumed the kingdom. The Shadow God screamed, fading into nothing. The storm ended. When the light vanished, the castle was silent. The queen stood alone, the Dark King's body gone, only his crown resting on the ground beside the broken mirror. She picked it up, tears falling onto the cold metal. From the mirror's surface, a gentle whisper echoed. "My queen, it's over." The kingdom slowly healed. Flowers grew over the old ruins. The Bald King's name became legend, not of terror, but of sacrifice and love that conquered even death itself. And on stormy nights, when the wind blows through the castle ruins, people say you can still hear his voice. Calm, proud, and eternal. The Bald King watches over his realm. The Dark King turned toward the horizon, his cloak of mist trailing behind him. The final war begins now. And as thunder roared across the haunted land, the legend of the Bald King became something far greater, the tale of the Dark King's war.